The impact for kids in terms of what's going on in the world and how they're going to take that is really the cue is going to come from their parents. So that's a primary place that they're going to look for how to respond to things. So it's important as parents that we are doing what we can to manage and to deal with our own emotional responses. Children will also, especially teens, will be getting a lot of information off of social media. You want to make sure that you keep the lines of communication open so that what they're getting from social media is appropriate and supportive and not something that makes them feel more discouraged and upset. So monitoring social media and electronic use, given that so many kids are on it so much right now because they're home, monitoring that and knowing what information they're taking in. Children are impacted by social media in both positive and negative ways. And so if we can use social media in a positive way where people are being supportive and encouraging and they can share feelings but it doesn't become a drain on a child, then that's a good thing. If, however, they're getting lots of really negative responses, and there's no reason that some of the negative parts of social media are stopping just because we have a crisis going on. There's still potential for the bullying that goes on and the inappropriate material that's being sent, and kids have a little more time at home, kind of free time where they're on electronics. So I think the responsibilities falls back to parents to monitor what kids are doing online, to set some limits. The positive thing that I've seen with some families lately is that kids have spent so much time on computers doing schoolwork and playing games that some of them are losing a little bit of interest in that, which is good. We want to encourage that and have them move to doing more face-to-face things with their families and more active games, activities, things that they can do. Anxiety for kids can present in a number of different ways. Many kids will have them just be more irritable or cranky. They can become more emotional and cry more easily. We may see regressive behaviors where they baby talk or they become more clingy. They may have headaches or stomach aches or sleep disturbance. So those things are really important to watch out for, and if you see that your child is experiencing some of those things, that's a good time to take a step back, kind of evaluate what's going on in their life at that point in terms of where they're getting information and how they might be perceiving things, to have that conversation about how are you feeling and what is their biggest worry, what is it they're most concerned about, and then try to address that specifically. The difficulty with anxiety is that it's oftentimes a negative thought that can kind of run haywire in our brains, and so if we don't catch it early, it can trigger lots of other negative thoughts, and then it can be a lot harder to kind of tame that down. So if we can intervene initially and provide the support and the structure that kids need, the reassurance, and help them find some positive ways to manage it, we can keep it from escalating. It's good to have several different ways that we manage anxiety, different things that we can do to handle that. Some things are distractions that take our mind off of it, so that could be, for some kids, playing video games, although limiting that is our method of choice. So distracting through video games, through board games that you play with family, creating fun things, reading, watching movies, things like that. And then the other thing is more problem-focused or solution-focused, and so that would be trying to find ways to express those and get those feelings out. So for some kids it's writing, for some kids it's talking, for some kids it's drawing pictures. And to do that, but to do it in a setting that has some boundaries, and so they're not going to spend all day doing these things, but for a short period of time to be able to express some of those feelings. And the third thing that we want to do is really to focus on physical outlets for the anxiety. Again, because we're cooped up, kids have lots of energy and they need to be active. Sitting still doesn't help to manage anxiety. So trying to find ways for them to be able to get out and expend some of that energy will be really helpful. The different way that the strategies get expressed will be different for different ages and different developmental stages. Teenagers are not going to want to do the same types of activities that a 4 or 3-year-old is going to want to do, but it's still important for them to have those ways of distracting, for being able to express those feelings directly, and some physical outlets for that energy and anxiety.